clubs, asking countless questions about what was going on and why. She was not writing an exposé to criticize and demean young women, but she was asking questions that were always personal and sometimes painful and embarrassing. She left no issue unaddressed, forcing me to think about what I had accepted unquestioningly as the norm. I knew it would be a startling thing to see my personal sexual escapades in print, but I trusted Laura and her motivations. I've invested my time and thought in Unhooked because I believe in it. I've grown up through these conversations, and Laura and I have learned from each other. We don't agree all the time, but there's something to be said for simply talking. Our discussions have helped me define love for myself, and in doing so, I've gained an appreciation for how important a process that is. You don't need to agree with all the perspectives in this book, nor relate to all the stories young women have contributed. Unhooked is simply a starting point for discussion, a strong argument for the importance of talking about relationships, period. To my peers, I'd like to say, our generation is wonderfully outspoken, but it's time we learn to listen as well. Who we love is a reflection of what we value, so what do we value? We would do well to examine our lives and the roles that love and sex play in them. This book will catalyze such introspection. And to parents, one thing I've come to appreciate post-adolescence is that you're eager to give us the very best. One critical way to do that is to engage more fully in our lives. Listen not only to Laura, but to us, your children, as we transition from child to adult. Address our sexuality in a truly interactive conversation. Take a lesson from the open-minded, genuine, no-holds-barred attitude with which Laura approached the subject of Unhooked. Our society is obsessed with sex, but no one wants to talk frankly about sex. Even now, I'm writing under a pseudonym, not because I'm ashamed of what I've done, but because I need protection from the stigma society places on those who publicize the messy details of their skirmishes with sex and love. If I could sign my name to this forward without fear of losing my job or getting slandered in the media down the road, I would. I'm proud of how I learned from my failures as well as my successes. I suspect the other young women in this book feel the same way. Regardless of whose story you're reading, what is being said is important. Silence perpetuates stigmas, and stigmas prevent understanding. So, let's talk about sex, baby. Introduction. I can explain the origin of this book with two stories, one brief, the other more detailed. In the spring of 1998, the principal of a suburban Washington, D.C. middle school called about 25 parents to a special night meeting. There, over the annoying hum of the fluorescent bulbs found in 8th grade classrooms around the country, she announced that as many as a dozen girls had been performing oral sex on 2 or 3 boys for most of the school year. The 13 and 14-year-old students were getting it on at parties, in parks, and even in a couple of neighborhood parking lots. The parents sat momentarily in silence, stunned. This was before President Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky made oral sex a household word, and 2 years before the popularity of oral sex in middle schools percolated through the media. One mother who had heard the news over the phone from a school counselor before the meeting told me later, "I almost dropped the phone." The school was my son's. He was not involved, but the kids he knew were. I wrote about the sex ring for the Washington Post, and I remember to this day what one girl in particular told me. "I did it at first in the fall with a boy I kinda liked, thinking it would make him like me," she said. "It didn't. Then I did it a couple more times in the spring at parties. We would go outside, then come back in and sit around and talk about it. It was no big deal." Now, in 1964, my 8th grade girlfriends and I were no prisses. We had secret places around town where we went to kiss and neck with our boyfriends. But when did teenaged girls, everyday girls, not just the fast girls or the loose girls, start skipping the smooching and go straight to giving head? How did they come to believe that offering their services to guys they barely knew was no big deal? My reporting instincts shifted into high gear as I discovered that this was not an isolated case. School administrators were beginning to report similar behaviors in middle schools around the Washington area. My editors, extremely uncomfortable about putting the phrases oral sex and middle school in the same newspaper story, pressed for multiple concrete examples, and I delivered. Eventually,